I can't keep my legs together. The rancher reached down and discovered something incredible. Tom Callahan was not a man easily surprised. He had spent most of his life on the Martian frontier, tending a small ranch hundreds of kilometers from the nearest colony. Red dust, jagged rocks, and occasional sandstorms were normal for him. Life here was quiet, lonely, and difficult, but it was a life he had chosen, a life that suited him. He enjoyed the solitude, the sound of wind against the metal walls of his small barn, the smell of Martian soil as he worked to keep his crops and animals alive. That morning had begun like any other. Tom had walked to the edge of his property, checking the irrigation system that he had painstakingly built from salvaged parts. The thin Martian sun cast long shadows over the rusty equipment. His boots crunched against the reddish ground, leaving shallow prints that would be erased by the next gust of wind. As he inspected a valve, a sudden tremor ran under his feet. He froze. Tremors were not common here, not like the violent quakes on Earth, but Mars had its moments. This one was strange, almost deliberate, as if the ground had shifted just to get his attention. Tom bent down, placing a hand on the soil. The vibration traveled through his fingers. Something was different. He reached for the source. At first, it felt like hitting a hard rock buried in the dirt, but the texture was odd, smooth, almost warm, unlike anything he had seen before. Curiosity overpowered caution. Tom dug around it, scraping away the red dust until he could see the edges of a small, compact object. It was metallic, but not like any metal he had handled. It shimmered faintly under the sunlight, pulsing as though it had a heartbeat. The pulse synchronized with his own for a brief moment, and Tom's heart skipped a beat. He knew instinctively that this was no ordinary object. He knelt fully, brushing away the remaining dust with careful fingers. The object hummed softly, a sound that was not exactly audible but seemed to resonate in his bones. Tom felt a thrill he hadn't experienced in years. After a long time working in isolation, he had almost forgotten what it was like to encounter something truly extraordinary. With a firm grip, he pulled it free. The object was light in his hands, yet it radiated power. Tiny ridges along its surface shifted under his touch as if the device were alive. He examined it closely. It was small, about the size of a human hand, but its design was unlike anything humans had ever created. "What the hell?" he muttered. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the device reacted. Tiny panels on its surface unfolded, delicate appendages sliding out like mechanical petals. A soft blue light projected a holographic pattern above it. Tom blinked. His logical, practical mind raced to comprehend what he was seeing. It was a schematic, a detailed map of circuits, mechanisms, and something that looked like biological components. His stomach tightened with excitement. Whoever made this had technology far beyond anything humans had developed, perhaps even beyond anything in the colonies. Tom's first instinct was to be cautious. He had survived harsh storms, malfunctioning equipment, and dangerous wildlife. He knew that touching unknown alien technology could be fatal. Yet, as his hand hovered over the glowing schematic, he felt an irresistible pull. Something deep in his instincts told him that this device wanted him to interact with it. Slowly, he touched it. Instantly, the device hummed louder, vibrating against his palm. Light flowed into him, or at least he felt it flowing. It wrapped around his arms and legs, his torso, spreading warmth and tingling sensation. The ground beneath him seemed to fade, and for a moment he felt weightless. Then it locked onto him. A soft mechanical click sounded in his ears. The panels had folded again, adjusting themselves to fit the contours of his body. Tom realized with a mixture of fear and awe that the device had become something wearable. Without thinking, he rose to his feet and immediately lost control. His legs moved faster than he could manage, almost on their own. He stumbled forward, arms flailing, trying to regain balance. "Whoa, whoa," he shouted, laughter mixing with panic. The speed, the power, the sudden surge of strength, it was overwhelming. For the first few minutes, Tom could barely stand still. He ran in short bursts, stumbled, spun around, and felt the Martian soil beneath his feet blur. The device was teaching him how to move, but in a way that his human body had never known. He couldn't keep his legs together. Literally, every step was a dance between instinct and chaos. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, his body started to adjust. He could control the speed, though it required intense focus. His heart pounded, adrenaline surged, but the initial fear had faded. A grin spread across his face. This is incredible," he whispered. For a moment he forgot all about the ranch, the crops, the isolation. Here, on the barren Martian plains, he had discovered something that could change everything, not just for him, but for humanity. Tom spent the next few hours testing the device. He could leap higher than ever before, run faster than any rover, and sense vibrations in the ground. The device seemed to respond to his thoughts and instincts. He tried moving rocks, lifting heavy equipment, and even interacting with the limited tech on his ranch. Everything became easier. Everything became possible. And yet, there was a nagging thought in his mind. If this was so powerful, why was it here? Who or what had left it buried in the Martian soil? By evening, the sky turned a deeper shade of red, and Tom returned to his small barn. He carried the device carefully, as one might carry a fragile living creature. He set it on a workbench and studied it under artificial light. Its glow filled the room, casting blue patterns on the walls. He noticed something new. Tiny symbols appeared on the device's surface, changing as he watched. They weren't any language he recognized, but somehow he understood them. They were instructions, a guide, a challenge. Tom felt a thrill of both excitement and responsibility. He was no longer just a rancher. He had become the first human to find this alien technology, and perhaps the first to unlock its potential. He worked late into the night, experimenting, touching, learning. The device responded in subtle ways, offering small boosts, gentle corrections, almost like a teacher guiding a student. He realized that this was not just a tool, it was a partnership. And humans, Tom thought with a grin, had a unique skill: the ability to improvise, to think in ways no algorithm could predict. By the time he finally lay down on his bed, exhaustion tugging at him, he knew one thing for certain: life on the Martian frontier would never be the same again. He had stumbled on something incredible, something that could redefine what it meant to be human in the stars. Outside, the wind whispered across the plains, rustling red dust. Inside, Tom Callahan slept, dreams filled with speed, strength, and possibilities beyond imagination. Tomorrow, he would test the device further. Tomorrow, he would discover just how far a human could go when given the right tools, and when the right instincts guided them. But tonight, he simply rested, marveling at the discovery that had changed his life forever. The Martian frontier had always been harsh, unforgiving, and lonely, but now it was a place of wonder. And he, a simple rancher, had become the first witness to something extraordinary. The next morning, Tom Callahan woke to the pale Martian sunlight creeping through the small window of his barn. His body ached from the previous day's excitement, but the ache was nothing compared to the anticipation bubbling inside him. The exosuit, the alien device he had discovered, rested on his workbench, glowing faintly. Tom rubbed his eyes and stared at it. "All right, let's see what you really can do," he murmured. He reached for the device, feeling the hum of energy vibrate through his fingers. The suit recognized his touch immediately, unfolding panels and attaching itself to him almost instinctively. Tom felt the familiar rush of warmth and strength, but this time he was ready, or so he thought. He stepped out of the barn and onto the dusty plains. At first, he tried walking normally, but his legs refused to cooperate. They moved faster than he intended, leaping, pivoting, spinning. For a moment he was airborne, limbs flailing. His boots kicked up red dust clouds and he laughed in equal parts terror and joy. "Whoa, okay, slow down," he shouted, struggling to regain balance. He stumbled, falling face first into the Martian soil. The exosuit responded immediately, retracting a small panel and releasing a pulse that steadied him. Tom gasped. It was as if the suit had a mind of its own, nudging him in the right direction. He stood again, more cautiously this time. With a deep breath, he focused on moving slowly. Step by step, he gained control. His human instincts, quick thinking, problem-solving, improvisation, began to work in harmony with the alien technology. After several hours, Tom could walk, run, and jump with relative control. But he wasn't just walking anymore. With the suit, he could bound over rocks that would normally take hours to climb, leap across gullies that seemed impassable, and even sprint across flat plains faster than any Martian rover he had seen. "This is unbelievable," he whispered. Curiosity drove him further. He ran toward a nearby rocky ridge, testing the limits of his newfound abilities. He could scale vertical rock faces with ease, cling to ledges, and even adjust his movements midair. It was like his body had been rewritten, guided by the suit's intelligence. Yet as much as the suit amplified his strength and speed, it also challenged him. His legs still occasionally jerked uncontrollably, sending him careening sideways or into small rocks, but each mistake was a lesson. Humans, Tom realized, learned from chaos, something no algorithm, no alien system could predict. His adaptability was a strength, and the suit seemed to respect it. By midday, Tom decided to push further. He needed to understand the full range of the device's capabilities. He sprinted across the plains, leapt over a shallow canyon, and landed perfectly on the other side. Then he tried lifting heavy boulders with ease, moving them to test how the suit amplified his raw strength. Rocks that had taken days to clear from his property were now manageable in minutes. Tom laughed. "I could build an entire colony alone with this thing." The excitement was tempered by caution. He knew the suit was alien technology, and alien intelligence often came with dangers humans could not anticipate. What if the device was a trap? What if the aliens who made it returned to retrieve it, or worse, saw him as a threat? Still, the possibilities were too vast to ignore. Tom realized the exosuit was not just a tool, it was a bridge between humans and something far greater. The first test had proven that humans were more than capable of mastering it. The second would prove what humans could do with it. Late in the afternoon, Tom noticed something odd. The suit seemed to react to the environment around him, glowing faintly whenever he approached certain areas. Small, almost invisible patterns on the Martian soil triggered responses from the device. Tom knelt and examined them closely. They were not natural formations. They were markings, etched into the rocks perhaps by someone or something, long before humans arrived on Mars. His mind raced. Could this suit be a part of a larger network? Had he stumbled upon a hidden system left behind by an advanced civilization? The thought made him both anxious and excited. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the plains, Tom made a decision. He would follow the markings, see where they led. Perhaps the suit would reveal more secrets. Perhaps, he hoped, he would uncover the reason it had been buried in his land. He set off cautiously, moving faster than normal humans, yet careful to observe the terrain. The markings led him through narrow canyons and rocky valleys, places he had never dared to explore before. Each step felt like discovery. Each leap, each bound was a test of human adaptability. The Martian landscape, harsh and unforgiving, became his proving ground. After hours of following the trail, Tom reached a large clearing. At its center was a strange structure, half buried in the red soil. It was metallic, angular, and unlike anything he had seen. The exosuit hummed louder as he approached, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Tom's stomach tightened. He had a choice: turn back to safety or investigate. Human curiosity, relentless and unyielding, pushed him forward. As he stepped closer, a panel on the structure opened, revealing a soft blue light. The exosuit reacted instantly, projecting a holographic map of the surrounding area, highlighting paths, potential hazards, and even something Tom could only describe as energy sources. The suit was communicating, guiding him. Tom realized something remarkable. He was no longer just a human wearing a piece of alien technology. He was part of a system, a living interface capable of understanding and adapting to intelligence far beyond human design. Suddenly, a sound broke the silence, a mechanical whir, subtle but distinct. Tom froze. From the shadows of the metallic structure, a drone emerged. Its design was sleek, alien, with multiple appendages and glowing sensors scanning the terrain. Tom's heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm. The drone had noticed him, but it had not attacked. Perhaps it was a scout checking for intruders. Perhaps it was here to test him. Instinctively, Tom crouched, moving carefully across the clearing. The exosuit responded, stabilizing his movements and amplifying his reflexes. He moved faster than the drone could track, blending agility with calculated risk. The human mind, unpredictable and adaptable, was now a key advantage. The drone advanced cautiously, emitting soft pulses of light. Tom decided to test it. He leapt over a boulder, spun midair, and landed behind it. The drone reacted instantly, trying to adjust, but it was designed for precision, not improvisation. Tom's human unpredictability gave him the upper hand. For several minutes, a strange dance unfolded across the clearing. The drone mirrored his movements, probing, testing, but Tom's ingenuity kept him one step ahead. He realized the aliens had underestimated humans' ability to think in chaos, to adapt, to improvise. Finally, the drone halted, emitting a low hum, almost as if acknowledging him. Tom lowered his stance, keeping one eye on it. Slowly it retreated, disappearing back into the shadows. The exosuit's lights dimmed, signaling the end of the interaction. Tom exhaled deeply. His legs were shaking, not from exhaustion but from adrenaline. He had faced an unknown alien intelligence and survived, not through brute strength, but through human ingenuity and adaptability. As night fell, Tom returned to his barn, his mind racing. The exosuit was no longer just a tool. It was a partner, an interface between humans and something far greater. He understood now that humanity's greatest strength was not technology, not numbers, but the unpredictable, creative spirit that allowed them to thrive where others would fail. He set the suit on the workbench and sat down, staring at it. Tomorrow, he would explore further. Tomorrow, he would test the limits of his body, his mind, and the suit. But tonight, Tom allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. Humans were not the fastest, the strongest, or the most advanced species in the galaxy, yet they were curious, adaptable, and courageous. And as he watched the faint glow of the exosuit, he realized that this small, buried device had chosen him, not just to survive, but to demonstrate the incredible potential of humanity. The Martian wind whispered outside, carrying dust across the plains. Inside, Tom Callahan sat quietly, feeling the pulse of the suit, the energy of discovery, and the awakening of something extraordinary. He was no longer just a rancher. He was a pioneer, standing on the edge of human potential, ready to face challenges that no one else had ever encountered. And for the first time, he smiled not just at what he had found, but at what humans could achieve when given a chance. The following morning, Tom Callahan woke before dawn. The Martian sky was pale, a thin glow spreading across the horizon. His body still tingled from the previous day's exertion, but excitement pushed aside fatigue. Today, he planned to explore further, to uncover what secrets lay beyond the ridges near his ranch. The exosuit rested on the workbench, quiet but alive. When Tom touched it, The panels unfolded immediately, as if recognizing him as its partner. He felt the familiar hum of energy flow through his limbs. His legs, which had been so unruly at first, now obeyed with precision, allowing him to move fluidly across the barren terrain. Tom stepped outside and scanned the plains. Yesterday, he had encountered subtle markings in the rocks, possibly hints of alien activity. Today, he hoped to find more, and to understand why the suit had been buried here in the first place. As he moved, the suit's sensors emitted a soft pulse. Tom's gaze followed the signal, leading him toward a canyon he had never explored. Its walls were jagged and steep, with deep shadows hiding unknown dangers. He approached cautiously, but the suit gave him confidence, stabilizing his movements as he climbed and leapt across the rocks. Halfway through the canyon, a sudden movement caught his eye. A thin metallic glint flashed from a ridge above. Tom froze. The exosuit pulsed in response, almost like a warning. He raised a hand to shield his eyes and squinted. It was a drone, a small, sleek machine, unlike any human technology he had seen. It hovered silently, scanning the canyon floor. Its design was efficient, deadly, and alien. The glow from its sensors reflected off the rocks, painting the walls with sharp blue light. Tom's heart pounded. He had seen the drone's reaction yesterday, but this time he had no idea what to expect. The machine was not attacking, at least not yet, but it was observing him. He crouched behind a boulder, considering his options. Run, hide, attack. The human mind thrived in uncertainty, and this was a perfect test. He decided to observe first. The drone shifted slightly, as if aware of his presence. Tom could feel the exosuit vibrating in rhythm with the drone's energy field. The suit seemed to communicate with him, providing subtle feedback. Every instinct he had learned yesterday, speed, agility, improvisation, was now enhanced. Taking a deep breath, Tom stood and stepped into the open. The drone adjusted its sensors toward him. His movements were slow, deliberate, yet every step demonstrated control. He ran a small circle around it, testing its reactions. The drone followed, calculating, precise. But human creativity was unpredictable. Tom leapt into the air, somersaulted, and landed behind it. The drone spun to follow, but it was momentarily unbalanced. Tom realized that the alien machines relied on patterns, predictable movements. Humans, however, thrived in improvisation. He pressed forward cautiously. The canyon was narrow, but he used the terrain to his advantage, ducking behind rocks, vaulting over ledges, and weaving in ways that the drone could not anticipate. The exosuit amplified his agility, allowing him to move faster and with more precision than any human alone could. Minutes passed in this tense dance. The drone tested him, probed his reactions, but Tom was always one step ahead. His mind, trained in problem-solving and survival, calculated, improvised, and adapted. Each move he made was a demonstration of human ingenuity. Then something unexpected happened. The drone paused, emitting a low hum, almost as if trying to communicate. Tom froze, watching it carefully. Its sensors flickered, projecting faint blue symbols into the air. The exosuit responded, displaying similar patterns on his forearm. Tom realized the machine was not just testing him, it was attempting to communicate. The exosuit was interpreting the signals and relaying them in a way he could understand. Slowly, methodically, he reached out with his mind, his instincts, and his ingenuity. He mirrored the patterns, adjusted his movements, and responded with improvisation. The drone reacted positively. Its lights softened and it hovered closer without aggression. Tom realized that human unpredictability, our ability to think creatively in chaos, was something the aliens had not anticipated. Their systems were precise, controlled, logical. Humans were neither, and that made them extraordinary. For hours, Tom and the drone engaged in this silent interaction. He discovered that the exosuit could amplify not just physical ability, but perception and intuition. He could anticipate the drone's movements, predict its reactions, and respond in ways that no machine could. It was a subtle, almost elegant demonstration of humanity's unique strengths. Eventually, the drone stopped its movement entirely. It projected a holographic interface, displaying images, symbols, and pathways. The exosuit translated them into comprehensible information for Tom. He saw maps of hidden structures, energy fields, and what appeared to be other devices buried across the Martian plains. Tom's mind raced. He realized that the alien civilization had left a network of devices designed for interaction, testing, and perhaps recruitment. And he, a human, had passed the first test. Excitement and responsibility surged through him. He understood the stakes. The aliens had advanced technology, but humans possessed creativity, adaptability, and courage, qualities that could surpass brute force or precision algorithms. The exosuit had chosen him not just for survival, but for partnership, to demonstrate humanity's potential. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the canyon, Tom finally relaxed. The drone hovered one last time, then retreated silently into the cliffs, leaving him alone. He exhaled deeply, realizing he had just faced an intelligent alien presence and survived, not through aggression, but through ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. He returned to his barn, exhausted but exhilarated. The exosuit powered down slightly, responding to his movements and signaling rest. Tom studied it on his workbench, marveling at its complexity. Every panel, every light, every pulse represented something beyond human understanding, yet it responded to him, learned from him, and adapted alongside him. Sitting in the dim glow of the barn, Tom reflected on the day. Humans were often underestimated. They lacked the raw speed, the precision, the technology of advanced civilizations, but they had something more valuable: unpredictability, creativity, courage under pressure, adaptability in chaos. And in this moment, that was enough to survive where others might fail. He realized that the exosuit was more than a tool. It was a mirror, reflecting humanity's strengths in a way that even advanced aliens could appreciate. And Tom, a simple Martian rancher, had become the first human to prove that our ingenuity could match, and even surpass, technological superiority. As night fell, he prepared for rest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Perhaps more drones, perhaps the structures indicated in the holographic maps, perhaps tests he could not yet imagine. But tonight, he allowed himself a rare moment of pride. Humans were not the fastest, not the strongest, and not the most advanced, but they were resilient, clever, and fearless. And in the silent Martian night, with the exosuit humming softly beside him, Tom Callahan knew that he had begun something extraordinary. He had not just discovered alien technology. He had awakened humanity's potential in a place where no human had ever dared to go. Tomorrow, he would explore further. Tomorrow, he would face whatever challenges the universe had in store. But tonight, he rested, ready for the next step, confident that humans could thrive even in the face of the unknown. For the first time, Mars did not feel empty or lonely. It felt like the beginning of something incredible. The next morning, Tom Callahan woke to the soft glow of the Martian sunrise spilling into his barn. He stretched, feeling the familiar surge of strength and agility coursing through his body from the exosuit. Yesterday had tested him in ways he never imagined, and he had survived. Today, he was determined to explore further. The holographic maps projected by the drone had left him curious and cautious. They pointed toward a series of structures scattered across the Martian plains, partially buried and likely abandoned for centuries. Tom could feel a strange energy pulsing from the locations, and the exosuit hummed in response. It was almost as if the suit wanted him to follow the path. He stepped outside, scanning the terrain. The plains stretched endlessly, dotted with jagged rocks and shallow craters. His boots sank slightly into the dust, leaving footprints that the wind would erase within hours. But today, Tom was not just a rancher, he was an explorer, a human equipped with a technology beyond imagination. The first structure he approached was low and partially collapsed. Its metallic walls gleamed faintly under the Martian sun, and strange symbols were etched into the surface. The exosuit pulsed as he neared, guiding him toward an entrance. Tom hesitated for a moment, heart racing. He had faced drones before, but these structures were different. Inside, he imagined traps, automated defenses, or worse. But the same human instinct that had carried him so far pushed him onward. He crouched and entered the building. Inside, the air was cool, surprisingly breathable. The walls were lined with more glowing symbols and panels, and the exosuit responded immediately, projecting interactive holograms onto the interior surfaces. Tom ran his hands over the panels, feeling the subtle vibrations beneath his fingertips. The structure seemed alive, as if it were waiting for him. As he explored, a soft mechanical hum filled the space. From a dark corner, another drone emerged, larger and more advanced than the one he had encountered before. Its sensors glowed, scanning him methodically. Tom froze for a moment, recalling yesterday's lessons. Human ingenuity would be his advantage, but only if he stayed calm. He moved slowly at first, observing the drone's behavior. It wasn't attacking, it was analyzing. Tom understood then that these machines were designed for precision, for logic, for controlled scenarios. Humans, however, thrived in unpredictability. That would be his edge. He tested the drone, using sudden movements, leaps, and quick changes of direction. The exosuit amplified his reflexes, allowing him to dodge, vault, and pivot with ease. The drone attempted to mirror his moves, but it was bound by its programming. Tom's human unpredictability kept him ahead. Minutes stretched into an hour as he engaged in this silent duel. He discovered that he could manipulate the environment to his advantage, toppling loose panels, triggering small magnetic pulses from the exosuit, and creating distractions that the drone could not anticipate. Every move showcased human adaptability, creativity, and courage. Finally, the drone paused, emitting a soft hum that seemed almost approving. It hovered, observing him without aggression. Tom realized that this was not just a test of physical ability, it was a test of intelligence, intuition, and ingenuity. Humans had no equivalent in alien systems. We were unpredictable, resourceful, and capable of improvisation in ways machines could not anticipate. Feeling emboldened, Tom explored deeper into the structure. He discovered a chamber filled with dormant devices similar to the one he had found on his ranch. Panels lined the walls, displaying intricate energy networks and alien schematics. The exosuit interfaced with them seamlessly, projecting maps and instructions that Tom could understand intuitively. He realized that the devices were part of a network, a system designed to interact with intelligent beings. And humans, through adaptability, creativity, and sheer problem-solving ability, were uniquely capable of engaging with it. As he studied the room, he noticed a series of symbols indicating a possible exit or pathway to the next structure. The exosuit pulsed in response, guiding him along the safest and most efficient route. Tom leapt, ran, and climbed through tunnels, following the path with precision and skill. His body, enhanced by the exosuit, moved with speed and grace he had never imagined. By afternoon, he emerged into another clearing. Here, the structures were larger, more complex, and partially buried under Martian soil. The exosuit pulsed stronger, as if excited by the presence of multiple devices in close proximity. Tom realized that he was standing at the center of a network, a hub of alien technology left for someone to discover and interact with. From the shadows, a swarm of drones appeared. They moved in formation, scanning the area, coordinating with each other. Tom's pulse quickened, but fear did not dominate him. Humans thrived in chaos, and he had learned to embrace it. He leapt into action, using the exosuit to navigate the terrain with speed and precision. Rocks became shields, dust clouds provided cover, and sudden movements kept the drones off balance. The exosuit amplified his agility and strength, but it was his creativity, quick thinking, and unpredictability that allowed him to stay ahead. He noticed that the drones were connected, operating as a single intelligence. But humans did not need coordination, they had improvisation. Tom exploited gaps in their formation, moving in ways the machines could not predict. He vaulted over a partially collapsed wall, triggering a small energy panel that disrupted their sensors. Drones faltered, giving him a critical advantage. For hours, Tom navigated the network of structures, outmaneuvering the drones and interacting with the devices. He discovered hidden energy sources, pathways between buildings, and systems designed to test intelligence and adaptability. Every move reinforced a simple truth: human ingenuity was unparalleled. Machines, no matter how advanced, could not anticipate creativity. By nightfall, Tom returned to the center of the clearing, exhausted but exhilarated. He had traversed multiple structures, faced coordinated drones, and unlocked new understanding of the alien network. He realized that the devices were not meant to be conquered, they were meant to be engaged with. The aliens who built them were testing adaptability, problem-solving, and creativity. And humans, he thought with pride, excelled in all three. The exosuit powered down slightly as he rested against a boulder. Tom looked up at the Martian sky, the twin moons casting pale light across the plains. The wind whispered through the rocks, carrying dust and the quiet hum of the distant structures. He realized something profound. Humans were often underestimated. They were not the fastest, the strongest, or the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy, but they were unpredictable, resourceful, and brave. And in this moment, that unpredictability had allowed him to master alien technology and navigate a world that would have been impossible for any other species. Tom's mind raced with possibilities. The network of devices could be a map to hidden knowledge, a guide to advanced technology, or even a test to see if humans were ready to interact with alien civilizations. The exosuit had chosen him, and he understood that responsibility. He was no longer just a rancher. He was an ambassador of human ingenuity, proving that the species could thrive where others might fail. As he settled for the night, Tom allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humans had a unique strength: adaptability. The exosuit amplified his body, but it was his mind that truly mattered. The ability to improvise, to solve problems in real time, and to act with courage under uncertainty was something no machine could replicate. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The network of structures extended far beyond what he had explored. More drones, more devices, and perhaps more tests awaited him. But tonight, he rested, confident that humans could overcome anything through creativity, courage, and determination. In the quiet Martian night, Tom Callahan felt a sense of pride unlike anything he had experienced. He had faced alien technology, outmaneuvered intelligent machines, and proven that humanity's advantage lay not in raw power, but in adaptability. Mars, once a lonely and harsh frontier, now felt alive with possibility. And humans, he realized, were more than capable of thriving, even in a world designed by a civilization far beyond their understanding. For the first time, he understood the true potential of the discovery he had made. The exosuit was not just a device. It was a challenge, a partnership, and a testament to human ingenuity. And he, a simple rancher on the Martian frontier, was ready to meet that challenge head-on. Tomorrow he would explore further. Tomorrow he would unlock more secrets. And tomorrow he would prove that humans, unpredictable, clever, and fearless, could succeed where others might fail. Tonight, however, he rested, letting the exosuit pulse gently beside him, a quiet reminder of the adventure that had only just begun. The morning on Mars was unusually bright, with sunlight reflecting off the red dust in a way that made the landscape glow like copper. Tom Callahan stepped out of his barn, exosuit humming faintly, ready for the day. Today, he knew, would not be like any other. He had tested the limits of his body, his mind, and the alien device. He had outmaneuvered drones, unlocked ancient technology, and discovered the vast network buried across his land. But now he sensed that he was approaching something greater, a final test, one that would determine if humans could truly interact with the intelligence behind the devices. The exosuit pulsed as he walked across the plains. Its soft hum seemed to guide him toward a massive structure in the distance, half buried under a series of jagged cliffs. Unlike the smaller buildings he had explored before, this one was enormous, stretching hundreds of meters in both height and width. Strange energy patterns radiated from it, detected by the suit, and Tom could feel them vibrating in rhythm with his heartbeat. He approached cautiously, keeping his senses sharp. The landscape around the structure was littered with remnants of smaller devices and partially buried panels, proof that this was the central hub of the alien network. From the shadows, a swarm of drones emerged, larger and more advanced than any he had encountered before. Their sensors glowed brightly, scanning the terrain, coordinating in perfect formation. Tom's pulse quickened, but fear did not dominate him. Humans thrived in chaos, and he had learned to embrace it. His unpredictable movements, combined with the exosuit's enhancements, would be his greatest advantage. The drones advanced in a synchronized pattern, attempting to corral him into a narrow canyon. But Tom did not panic. He had studied their behavior, learned their limitations, and perfected his improvisation. He darted sideways, vaulting over rocks and leaping between ridges. His legs, once uncontrollable, now moved with precision, guided by instinct, intuition, and human creativity. The drones adapted, but slowly. They were designed for calculation, not improvisation. Tom realized that he could exploit the gaps in their programming, forcing them into situations they could not predict. He triggered small panels with the exosuit, creating dust clouds and magnetic pulses that disrupted their sensors. One by one, he outmaneuvered them, never relying on brute strength alone. As he reached the base of the central structure, a low hum filled the air. The building itself seemed alive, responding to his presence. The exosuit pulsed more strongly, guiding him to an entrance partially hidden beneath the cliffs. Tom crouched, approached carefully, and entered. Inside, the chamber was vast, with walls lined with glowing panels and holographic interfaces. Energy pulsed through the floors and ceilings, forming intricate patterns that Tom could only partially comprehend. But the exosuit translated the signals into intuitive feedback, allowing him to interact with the systems. At the center of the chamber, a massive device hovered, radiating light and energy. It was clearly the control core of the network. As Tom stepped closer, he realized that the final test was not physical, it was mental. The alien intelligence was assessing his creativity, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. Panels on the walls projected complex sequences of lights and patterns. Tom had to replicate them using movement, interaction with the environment, and the exosuit's capabilities. At first, the sequences were confusing, almost overwhelming. He stumbled, misstepped, and triggered small defensive mechanisms, but he adapted quickly. His mind, trained in survival and improvisation, began to see the patterns as opportunities. Step by step, he mirrored the sequences, improvising when necessary. The exosuit amplified his movements, but it was his ingenuity that allowed him to succeed. The alien intelligence observed silently, adjusting the difficulty, testing his limits. Tom's heart pounded, but determination kept him going. Hours passed in the chamber. Tom leapt, ducked, spun, and manipulated the holographic interfaces. Every challenge pushed him further, yet he learned from each mistake. The alien intelligence had not anticipated the human ability to adapt in real time, to improvise solutions under pressure, and to remain fearless in the face of uncertainty. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the sequences aligned perfectly. A wave of light radiated from the central device, enveloping Tom and the chamber. The exosuit pulsed in harmony with the energy, signaling that the test was complete. The drones outside hovered silently, as if acknowledging his success. Tom exhaled deeply, leaning against a panel to steady himself. He had done it. He had faced the ultimate test of alien intelligence and proved that humans, unpredictable, creative, and courageous, were capable of engaging with technology far beyond their comprehension. A soft voice, mechanical but somehow intelligible, echoed in the chamber. Human, capable. Adaptable, extraordinary. Tom smiled, realizing that the alien intelligence was communicating directly with him. It was acknowledging humanity's unique strengths. The control core began to transmit data through the exosuit, sharing knowledge, energy maps, and advanced schematics. Tom realized that this was not just a reward, it was an invitation. The aliens had left their network to test species for potential partnership. Humans had passed. He explored the chamber further, interacting with devices that could generate energy, manipulate the environment, and provide insights into advanced technologies. The exosuit served as a bridge, allowing him to interface seamlessly. Each interaction reinforced the truth he had come to understand. Humans were uniquely capable of improvisation, adaptability, and ingenuity. Technology could amplify these traits, but the core strength was in the human spirit. As night fell outside, Tom stepped back from the central device. The Martian sky was dark, with stars twinkling like diamonds. The wind carried the familiar red dust across the plains. He realized that his life had changed forever. He could have kept the exosuit and the technology for himself, but Tom understood responsibility. Humans were not just survivors, they were explorers, innovators, and pioneers. The knowledge he had gained could benefit all of humanity if shared wisely. He returned to his ranch, carrying the exosuit carefully. The devices in the network remained operational, but Tom now understood that they would respond to humans who demonstrated creativity and courage. The planet, once harsh and lonely, had become a proving ground for human potential. Over the following days, he began mapping the structures and documenting the technology. Using the exosuit, he could move quickly between sites, lifting heavy debris, navigating difficult terrain, and interacting with the devices. Each discovery reinforced the same truth. Humans thrived where others would fail, not because of raw power, but because of adaptability, creativity, and determination. Tom also realized that the alien intelligence had left the network not as a threat, but as a challenge, a test to identify potential allies. Humanity had proven itself worthy, not by brute force, but by ingenuity. The exosuit, now a trusted companion, had been the key, but only because it responded to human creativity. Weeks passed, and Tom became more adept with the exosuit. He could leap over cliffs, sprint across the plains, and manipulate complex alien devices with precision. He was no longer just a rancher. He was a pioneer, a human who had demonstrated the species' unique strengths to an intelligence far beyond Earth's understanding. Finally, he stood atop a cliff overlooking his property. The network of alien structures stretched across the plains, illuminated faintly under the Martian sun. Drones patrolled silently, observing but no longer aggressive. Tom knew that humans had proven their worth. He took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the exosuit and the heartbeat of the planet beneath him. Mars, once barren and lonely, now felt alive with possibility. And humans, he realized, were more than capable of thriving, even in the face of unknown civilizations and advanced technology. Tom smiled. He had faced impossible challenges, outmaneuvered intelligent machines, and unlocked secrets that would redefine humanity's future. The exosuit had amplified his body, but it was his mind, creativity, and courage that had carried him through. Humans were not the fastest, not the strongest, and not the most technologically advanced species, but they were adaptable, fearless, and ingenious. And in the end, that was enough. He returned to his barn, placing the exosuit carefully on the workbench. Tomorrow, he would continue exploring, documenting, and preparing to share his discoveries with the colonies. But tonight, he allowed himself a rare moment of pride and reflection. Mars was no longer just a frontier. It was a proving ground, a stage for human potential. And Tom Callahan, a simple rancher, had proven that humanity could thrive in ways no one had imagined. The wind whispered across the plains, carrying red dust and silent promise. The stars above twinkled, and in their light, Tom felt the pulse of possibility. Humans were extraordinary, not because of the technology they could wield, but because of the ingenuity, courage, and adaptability they carried within themselves. And for the first time, he knew without doubt, the future was in human hands.